What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another Let's Play Europa Universalis 4. We are obviously on the Muscovite conquest of Ryazan, and unfortunately, I'm not really too sure where their military went. They had about 6,000 troops. I guess they're somewhere in Lithuania. However, it looks like my vassals are going to be doing the dirty work, and they have somehow moved all the way up to our vassal of Pskov. I don't think I'm really going to be sending up troops if I don't necessarily need to. And the idea is to basically secure more and more manpower. If I supposedly did not attack anybody, I wouldn't lose any troops. And so basically, I would essentially accumulate more and more manpower over time. These are essentially the reserves of our military. The bourgeoisie request privileges. The bourgeoisie class has grown increasingly resentful of the power of the noble families, and particularly their lack of opportunities in the higher ranks of government. Their only route into power is to marry into poor but well-titled noble families, or pry open positions in government circles. So we can grant them privileges. The burghers would like us, but the boyars would not. The burghers are essentially the bourgeoisie, the merchant class, and the boyars are essentially the nobility. Or I could deny them privileges, so really it's a lose-lose situation. I don't want to lose administrative power, and I don't want to lose diplomatic power, but I would much rather lose diplomatic power than administrative power, at least early on in the year 1446. As the game goes by, administrative power is obviously always very helpful, but diplomatic power early on isn't really all that necessary. Okay, taking a quick glance, we are about to finally finish this war against Ryazan, as we are obviously sieging down their capital. This city has a fort, while obviously the rest of these countries, or at least these provinces, do not. Ryazan is about to fall, and because we didn't really lose any real manpower, I'm probably going to go after Tver next, as they don't appear to have any actual allies. 100% war score. My vassals essentially annihilated the enemy troops without me having to lift a finger, so that was nice. We are going to take all of this land. It will cost me 253 administrative power to set up my new governments in our new territories. So basically what we need to do is we need to set up branches of government, executive branches, executive, judicial, and obviously legislative branches. We're going to get some aggressive expansion, and we're going to get some overextension as well. And this is not 100%, so it doesn't matter, and nobody hates us enough to join a coalition. Let's also take all of their territory and all of their money, only 77 ducats. And there we have it. We now have just finished our very first war. All of these provinces that we've just conquered have a little bit of unrest because we have absolutely annihilated their crops. We have like this, not necessarily like scorch and burn policies, but we did raid their lands and we looted pretty much everything to, the spoils of war are why our units fight. And obviously, over time, this, the looting will subside, and their devastation will actually tick away. Let's bring our troops in the north, prepare for another war. And we already have Tver here. This is Odoyev. Let's fabricate a claim on Oka, recall our diplomat, and we already have a claim on Tver. So we probably could go ahead. We have become a great power. Perfect. So I guess we are in the top 8 countries in the game. It's kind of funny. Muscovy is obviously one of the main provinces, main countries. So is the Ottomans, Spain, Castile, England. And the idea is basically to become the strongest country in the world by exploiting the trade of other nations, manufacturing, production, taxation, and, obviously I already said trade. All right, let's go ahead and declare our war on Tver. Diplomatic insult, casus belli, or obviously take the capital of Tver, which is funny. The city of Tver is inside the country of Tver, so let's go ahead and make that happen. 13,000, going to annihilate 8,000. I would rather have all of my troops here at once, but that might not actually happen. And because we caught them off guard, they had a little bit less morale, but we are fighting. We went through a river and had a small penalty that needed to be dealt with. I don't want to basically use these 11,000 troops to siege down territory because I would lose some manpower over time, and that would basically mean I am farther away from my maximum amount of reserves. Desires of the flesh. While we have successfully managed to keep the truth from the rest of the court, it is only a question of time until it gets out unless we do something. The Grand Knyaz Vasily II Temny recently discovered that his wife, Queen Maria, is having an affair. Not only that, but the other guilty culprit is none other than our advisor, Seaman Tessenhusen. The trust we put in him was obviously unfounded. Now we have a variety of things to do. We could lose some prestige, we could lose some money, we could lose some unrest, or we could lose additional prestige. And, divorce. I don't know if I want to do that. So, now we know at least we can take measures to keep this quiet. So, all we're going to do is lose 10 prestige, which is ultimately pretty bad, but not as bad as a lot of these other things. We could also, execute him, local unrest. He's a philosopher. You know what? I think I'm going to have him execute. I would lose 15 prestige instead of 10. But I could get a new advisor, maybe a treasurer. Let's try this. Probably not the best thing to do. So he's been executed for sleeping with my wife. Maybe. He should have been. Aw, I'm very sad. He didn't get executed. Alright, well whatever. Now that we've conquered all of these territories, we need to go ahead and actually pay to set up all of our governments. We haven't paid them yet. And let's improve our stability by +1. Not going to do it yet because we're going to pay 17% overextension, and I don't want to do that. But I would love to have another stability. And I think what I'll do is, once we take over Tiver as well, we obviously want our manpower to grow and grow and grow. And we want to obviously improve the amount of treasury that we hold. And we also want to deal with a variety of these rebels as they arise. We went down from 11,000 troops down to about 9,400. And I really want to get up to about 22,000 manpower or reserves. Because I am going to be declaring war on Novgorod, or potentially the Great Horde, or Kazan sometime soon. And, you know, having more reserves is really, really useful, especially because every time we attack, people are going to die, and we need people to fill in those ranks. And that's where all of our reserves come in. Having more manpower means you can basically fight longer, and that is the idea. We are only getting about 200 manpower every month, which is just absolutely horrible. And it looks like Tiver did not have any allies or vassals either, which is another reason why we went for them. And we are going to try to annex them in time. Now, like I said, I have 5 vassals, and my #1 priority is to basically try to annex what we can. So let's head over to Perm. Let's improve relations. I need them to like me as much as possible, and then eventually I'm going to begin my annexation. And you know, an angry country or an angry vassal isn't going to allow you to replace their administrative officials. There goes the Siege of Tiver. We have taken the city. Not only am I going to take all of their provinces, once again, I'm going to take all of their money. And it looks like now, before, nobody wanted to join a coalition against me. However, now the country of Tiver is very upset, but after this trade deal, they will no longer exist, so therefore this is irrelevant. It's going to cost us 223 administrative power. I only have 219, but that is fine. That is okay. And we now own 3 new provinces. And let's wait 1 more month. And the war exhaustion will tick down, and we don't even have very much to begin with. All of these provinces are now being, their governments are being set up. I don't want to go down to about 5% army maintenance. I want to make a surplus of money, though. This is not good. But basically, I'm watching the rebel factions on the right of my screen. These are going to be a little bit of an issue in time. But at least for now, we could try to deal with these rebels as they arise. Obviously, at 100%, all 3 of these provinces are going to be revolting. And I want to do everything in my power to ensure that I put them down before they make, you know, our country go through like a civil war or some sort of disaster. Relations have been improved with Novgorod. I could care less, but we just happen to both be the same religions. I have a diplomat not doing anything at all. Part of me wants to declare war on Odoyev, but the country of Novgorod would join in. Do they have any allies? No, but they lead a trade league, and so Odoyeb would actually join in. So what I'm going to do is basically, for the next couple years, I obviously want to rebuild all of these provinces that we just basically destroyed all of their crops. We've devastated their economy. I want to regrow those, and I also want to deal with these rebel factions. And by the time, I think the year 1554, happens, we can let's use our diplomat while we're waiting. Let's send somebody to Rostov, improve relations with our vassals. But anyway, what I was saying is I'd like to have full manpower before I have a massive war against Novgorod. Looks like some of our provinces have finally set up governments, and we're still working on a few others, though. Yep, 4 more to go. And let's actually mothball our forts. And I would like to go ahead and improve our stability from 0 to +1, because it's going to make the rebels go down a little bit. Ooh, we are malevolent. I don't like that. Liberty, desire, and subjects is +5%. Well, the entire goal is I obviously want to continue expanding, but, I'm going to have to deal with these internal factors before anything else, really. Now, what will be nice is once we start unlocking some of these ideas, I can do things like religious ideas, which doesn't necessarily affect rebel factions, but basically as I continue to grow, some countries or provinces might be Sunni, and so maybe, changing over their religions from Sunni to Orthodox will later in time improve national unrest in those particular provinces. Or I could do something like humanist ideas, which make us more, I hate to say humanist, but basically national unrest will go down, people will hate us a little bit less. But really, you can only get so many ideas. So, I would love to do an economic ideas, basically always having income, or maybe better military ideas where you obviously have better generals, better troops, cheaper troops. There's really a lot of different opportunities and different paths that we can go through. Still glancing over at these rebel factions, they are continuing to grow, which I do not like. And what is kind of funny is I could improve the autonomy, I would lose a little bit of money, but I would not have to fight these units. And I think that's what I'm going to do as soon as it gets to 90%. And obviously I could put them down. How many troops would even spawn? Okay, so this is the Ryazinian Separatists. 16,000 troops would spawn, and obviously I don't want that to happen. I only have about 24,000 troops, and so it would mean a lot of devastation for our army. So I think the best thing to do is to rule through the pen rather than the sword. And we'll exactly see how we're going to manage this. Now, unfortunately, I can't necessarily improve the autonomy and the Grand Horde separatist area of Yelits, because not only is it not necessarily our government, it's a different religion, and, I can only improve autonomy by 10, and this is 15.3. So here we stand, and we are going to have to fight them down. Luckily, it's a lot more manageable than those Ryazinian separatists. I'm still waiting for this to hit 90. Every turn that goes by, we're actually gaining some income, which is really nice. We're gaining some manpower as well. Yes. I could speed up the game here, but I don't think we're going to do that. The Great Horde has insulted us. Our vassal of Perm would like a royal marriage. And royal marriage from Rostov. You know what just happened? I thought I executed our philosopher, but I actually executed our queen. That is really funny. That's actually too funny. We got about 5 more years until our heir becomes of age, and it looks like our queen is a lawgiver, which I do like. Unfortunately, though, she is not leading our nation. We have basically a horrible ruler, very incompetent, and I'm hoping he dies in the next 6 years so his son, Ivan, can take the throne. Wave of obscurantism, knowledge is power, or ignorance is bliss. As a typical response to different kinds of problems, obscurantism was a frequent behavior in most nations, at least until the Age of Enlightenment arose in the most advanced Western nations of the European continent. So basically, we could lose 10 prestige, or we could get obscurantism, which gives national unrest. This is not good, but I don't want to lose prestige. So we are going to have to deal with this negative modifier, and this is going to affect these rebel factions. But I don't think anything other than autonomy will basically be affected. Let's improve autonomy here, here, here. All of these provinces, and Kazimov... I'm not going to worry about it because they are at 0%. And you're probably wondering, well, why not just always improve autonomy? And the reason for that is because you basically are taking less in taxes. You don't actually control how many taxes you collect. You basically control the degree of how much taxes a certain province will collect. I know it kind of seems like the same thing, but it's not like a slider. I'm a little concerned because this went from 80 to 90. I'm hoping we can respond in time. Yep, there we go. So basically, every month that goes by, we're going to gain some morale. I want to put some troops on top of the province itself, so the enemy will probably get a negative modifier. And it looks like 1st of January, 1451. And as the game progresses, we're going to be unlocking new eras of, basically the word is like technology. So what's going to end up happening is we're going to be getting eras and institutions. We were just in feudalism, and as the game progresses, let's say feudalism spawned in, I don't know where it spawned, but anyway, let's say it spawned in Muscovy. As the game moves on, technology will basically spread throughout the rest of the region in waves. And it looks like the Renaissance has just spawned, probably in Italy. Yep, looks like Siena, not necessarily Rome, but just outside of Rome. Any country that embraces the Renaissance, so obviously you could see that it's spawning in waves. And unfortunately, Muscovy is nowhere near the Renaissance, so it will take some time. But we are entering into a new age. Feel free to read that and pause the game if you'd like. But eventually, after the Renaissance, we're going to get colonialism, printing press, global trade, manufactories, and then eventually the Enlightenment. And if you embrace these, you don't have to pay as much for newer technologies. And basically, once you embrace all of the Renaissance, your entire country will be green, and then the surrounding areas will then begin getting the Renaissance effects as well. So you don't necessarily need to always be the first one to embrace. So let's say Novgorod embraced it. I could easily benefit, from the cost savings of, of this Enlightenment. Yelits has spawned. They have significantly less troops than we do. And we only lost 611 troops. They lost 8,000. I thought it was going to be a lot worse than that. But actually it might be if we take this attrition. As you can see, we're all in one province, and we can only have a maximum of 14,000 troops, and we easily have 23,000. So we need to get out before the 1st, and it looks like we did. All of our troops making their way back to our centralized borders, and I guess let's go ahead and reduce our army maintenance once again. I don't really have any real rebels that need to be dealt with. Part of me wants to deal with Novgorod, but we don't necessarily have full manpower. So I think what we're going to do is, can we declare war on Novgorod? Yes, I can. But do I need... Yep, I've got Reconquest Casus Bellis. I could humiliate them and gain a bunch of power projection, or I could do conquest things other than that. So I think what we're going to do is actually bring our army maintenance up just a tad. I'm going to move these 13,000 to Kaluga and these 11,000 to Tula. Once we declare war on Novgorod, Odoyev is going to be declaring war on us. And we're basically going to try to use all of the money that we've collected and all of the manpower we've accumulated to basically win this war. And I guess on the 1st of June... let's go ahead and finally bring our army maintenance all the way to the top. Unfortunately, though, we are getting very close to winter time. It's obviously the 1st of September. and we'll probably be declaring on December 1st. So I don't know if I like that. Let's actually make all of our forts garrisoned again, because they went from 2,000 troops down to 0. And obviously, over time, we are going to activate these forts. They're going to trickle in waves of about 100, 140. And yeah, a couple months are going to pass, and we need to improve their efficiency. So we're going to be declaring on the 1st of December. We're going to be declaring on Novgorod, and Odoyev is going to be an ally, but we're going to annihilate this ally very quickly and remove them from the game. That's going to be the plan. I have no idea how well it's going to work, but let's try. We're going to reconquest Velsk, because this used to be my province, and so therefore we are automatically given a claim, and it's significantly cheaper. 75% the cost, and only 25% aggressive expansion rather than 100. So absolutely going to take that. 13,000 troops coming in. Got to wait 1 day. You're going to go in as well, and then I'm going to shift-click you to Yuriev. And the idea is I don't want all of my troops on a single province. Okay, this can basically be split in half. So 13,000 troops don't need to siege down that province. We really only need 3, but I think I'm going to leave 7 there, at least for now. And we are going to go ahead and end this episode here. It looks like we actually already have taken the war goal. Our vassals were very, very kind. So every month, let's just wait until the 1st. You can see that we don't have a ticking war score until the 1st of February. Yep, there's the green arrow. So what's going to happen is now that we have the war goal, I don't even need to do anything. And basically, we're going to get more and more points. And the more points we have, the more of an obligation the enemy country has, so Novgorod has, towards ending the war. So I get more points. The idea means I can take more provinces, take more money, release nations. I can force them to release the country of... I was going to say Finland, but Finland's obviously over here. But anyway, you get the point. We are going to go ahead and end this episode here, so thank you all for joining me. I hope you all have an awesome day, and I will see you in our next adventure.